While they are allowing these people to take out our children into slavery, they are allowing foreigners to come and get our jobs here illegally. There are so many people in this country doing jobs which Kenyans should be doing. How many people are in this country with the work permits who should not be having work permits?
Many of them.
How many people are in this country without work permits? And they are doing jobs Kenyans are doing. Then the Kenyan who should be doing that job, which a foreigner is doing, and the foreigner doesn't even have a work permit, or has a work permit for a job for which you shouldn't give a foreigner work permit, that Kenya then goes into slavery in Saudi. We can't allow this. We don't have embassies anywhere in the world. Kenya does not have embassies. We don't have ambassadors.
But there's always a list.
No. I've not seen an ambassador anywhere. Kenya doesn't have one. They are just tourists there.
Has Kenya made more subtle bilateral labor agreements with majority of Gulf states? Now, this question comes in the backdrop of increased reported cases of sexual harassment, violence, torture, and a generally oppressing labor market advanced to majority of Kenyan labor force in those very states. And I should say, I'm talking about just majority of them to avoid the issue of blanket condemnation. As a country, is it high time we address this issue? And what does the future look like for the Kenyan labor migration industry? To bring this conversation, I'm joined by none other than the phenomenal statements, Haman Manyora, and I'm yours truly, Richard Mwenja. So welcome on set.
Thank you very much.
All right, you look a bit joyful today. Is it that Valentine is approaching?
Very joyful.
Ah.
Very joyful.
I see. Perhaps why.
Every passing day we thank God.
Ah, all right.
Yeah.
I see. Now, Kenya has a delegation of over 600,000 youths who are seeking opportunities in the Gulf, and majority of this population are domestic workers. But we've seen increased cases of torture, sexual harassment, and so forth being recorded. As a country, are we sacrificing our youth at the altar of a few diaspora remittances?
Of course. We are not serious. Kenya should import labor, export labor.
I see.
But it must be skilled labor. There are many countries around us, Richard, many, that are dying to have professionals in their countries. 10, 15, 25 years ago, we have continuously supplied doctors and nurses to Zimbabwe, Namibia. Canada. At a point, almost every doctor in those countries, like in Namibia, not Zimbabwe, sorry, in Namibia, was either from Zimbabwe or from Kenya. They didn't have their own. Botswana, we have professionals, the engineers and everything. Rwanda is exclusively almost managed by Kenyans. Is now they are beginning to have their own professionals. That is the kind of thing we should step up. But to allow miserable Kenyans to go out, that is modern slavery.
All right.
Yeah. We are encouraging modern slavery. Yeah.
Going into the future, do you see that Ruto's proposal of having the Hustlers Nation commitment of allocating more than 100 billion in government projects, that perhaps this will see less of that number going to these very Gulf states and majority being absorbed in the Kenyan labor market?
Forget about any amount of money you are putting down. I have told you, we should not export unskilled labor anywhere in the world. But the Arabs, the people in the Arab states have shown they have no respect for us.
All right.
They mistreat our people with the connivance of agents and Kenyans who want to get rich. They send fellow Kenyans into slavery. And I'm saying this in broad daylight. What we have witnessed, what we have seen, government must put a stop.
All right.
Yeah.
Kenyan agencies recruiting these youth on behalf of Gulf states have distanced themselves from the blame of the misery people are undergoing in those countries. And they are putting blame on unlicensed agencies. Do you see that there is a possibility of a loophole?
Forget about it. Forget about it. Whether licensed or unlicensed, all these agents are not doing a good job. They are selling their fellow countrymen, fellow countrywomen into slavery. It's period. You cannot discuss it in any other way.
But the Ministry of Labor has licensed them, has authorized this business.
Do we have a Minister of Labor? These are just jokers.
Come on.
These are jokers. If I was a minister in charge of labor in this country, I would not do those kind of things. I will move across the world. I, Minister for Labor, Haman Manyora,
I see,
would move across the world and the source for jobs for Kenyan market. We will embark on a training programs aimed to tap into the labor market of countries around us. Let me give you a good example. Many countries in Africa today, the services, let's limit ourselves, for example, to health.
I see.
The services you'll get from Odaya Nyeri or Makuyu in Muranga or Vihiga in Western. The services you'll get, which include laboratory services and access to a clinical officer and nurse. In some countries, you'll have to come to their Nairobi. I've said this repeatedly. Simple things you get in a health center in your village, in Kitale there. Simple things you get in Matunda, Moy's Bridge. In terms of medical care, some of laboratory services, you'll need to go to Nakuru. In those countries. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even to test malaria. So what am I saying? I'm saying there are countries where if your car broke down in your district, let's say they have a district, the equivalent of our district, at that level of a district, my friend, you'll have to tow it back to Nakuru, to Kisumu. You get what I'm saying?
I see.
To Nyeri. You are in some part of, you are in Kirinyaga, you'll have to take that vehicle to Nyeri or bring it to Nairobi, their country. What am I saying? I'm saying we should train skilled labor to take those countries before they get to a point where they have sufficient of those people in sufficient numbers. We can get this for the next 20, 30 years, taking our young mechanics, young technicians, electrical technicians. You get what I'm saying? Plumbers. Even in this country, here, Kenya, here today, if you want to put up your house at home, in the village, try to look somebody do the piping, the water. You will not get. They are not there. I was chairman of a board, what they used to call them board of governors of schools. We got money from infrastructure fund, the infrastructure fund at the ministry. That money you cannot use until you liaise and work with the public works in the county. The people who will come on board in the construction must be approved contractors. You get what I'm saying? Compliant. You can't get a person from the village. You can't. Today in this country, in the villages, in the counties, to get a technician to fix even your electricity in the house, they are not there. Instead of taking our children into slavery, why can't we train them to do these things and make these things worthwhile and attractive?
I see.
Yes.
Before we say throw shade to these Gulf states, do you feel that we should first address systemic failures around the immigration department that explains how in the first place they go to those countries? Because if an agency is unlicensed, then how do you explain them getting out of the country and ending up miserable in those states?
Good. You have raised a very important thing, Richard. Immigration. It's a very stupid situation where we in Africa, we are really very stupid. Let me talk about Kenya. And forgive me using the word stupid, because I'm looking for another English word. And I know a little English, and I can't get it. We are just stupid. Our immigration people allow our children to go into slavery, working with quack agents. Is that right?
Yeah, true.
That's one. Two, and read it against one. While they are allowing these people to take out our children into slavery, they are allowing foreigners to come and get our jobs here illegally. There are so many people in this country doing jobs which Kenyans should be doing. You look at a Chinese company doing a road. You look, they have drivers on the road. There's a road behind us here. It was being done by the Japanese. The Japanese had leased this to Malaysians, somebody from Lebanon. They were Lebanese here, driving simple trucks, doing simple jobs.
Do that.
A road was being made in my place, around Jabrok. I could see when you are sweeping the road, before you put tarmac there, Chinese were doing it. So what are the immigration people doing? Allowing people to come and do jobs which Africans should be able to do, Kenyans should do. And at the same time, opening illegal doors for our children to go into slavery. So the immigration has a lot to be blamed for.
Are you saying that people whom we thought were competent, the likes of General Gordon Kialangwa, who are there as the
PS?
these
are failures. They're just failures. People go there to make money, not to work. And I'm not talking about Gordon Kialangwa. I'm just talking about people. How many people are in this country with the work permits who should not be having work permits?
Many of them.
How many people are in this country without work permits? And they are doing jobs Kenyans are doing. Then the Kenyan who should be doing that job, which a foreigner is doing, and the foreigner doesn't even have a work permit, or has a work permit for a job for which you shouldn't give a foreigner work permit, That Kenya then goes into slavery in Saudi. We can't allow this. I'm saying when you talk about these immigration officials, to me they are just failures. They have not had what I consider some love for your country. However greedy you are, however much you love money, you must have some little love for your country so that you don't open your country for rape. You get it? You cannot cooperate with foreigners to suck out every little life and every little job out of the system, every little penny out of the system, to be siphoned out by foreigners, leaving your fellow brothers, your children, with no option but to go into slavery. We shouldn't do that.
I see. Yes. A recent survey reported of the minimum wages there in, say, Lebanon. And for the case of a domestic a domestic worker per se, a Kenyan is paid 850 reals, whereas their counterparts from, say, Lebanon are paid upwards of 1,500. And actually, their governments have advanced other perks to their contracts. Say, you're given means of communication even before you travel to, say, Qatar or other countries. Why isn't our embassy, say, in Qatar or Lebanon, advancing such perks for its now domestic workers and other?
Two things. We don't have embassies anywhere in the world. Kenyan does not have embassies. We don't have ambassadors.
But there's always a list.
No. I've not seen an ambassador anywhere. Kenya doesn't have one. They are just tourists there. People are going to enjoy. Because anytime you travel out of the country, you come across things, even without traveling. You say, why are Kenyan ambassadors in that country over the years? Why haven't they ever seen this and brought the idea back home? These are people on holiday. You travel, when you are away for 3-4 weeks, try to get to the embassy. See if you'll get somebody in that embassy. They're never there. They're in endless parties. So, that's number one. We don't have ambassadors. We don't have embassies.
Ambassadors' political rewards?
Yeah, of course. These are just people. You know, the last time, and I think the only time Uhuru relieved people of cabinet position, where did he take them? People like Wariyu. How can you make them ambassadors? Honestly. After what they had, so those are not ambassadors. I can be given one myself, just as a reward. Manyora, you are nice. You have been saying nice things in this country. But how? There are even people taken to a country where they will need an interpreter. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You take Bilal to a country, Spanish speaking. He doesn't have a single word of Spanish, and he's the ambassador there. You take somebody to Brazil, and I can mention 20, 30.
No, you don't have to.
You take somebody to Brazil where people speak Portuguese. Even how to say good morning, he doesn't know. So these are not ambassadors.
All right.
The other thing was about Kenyans getting less packs or no packs compared to people from other countries when they go to Lebanon.
In the same
I don't have the facts,
yeah.
But I would not be surprised if that is true. Yeah. In fact, I would be surprised if it is not true. They get less than half of the salary that others earn.
True.
But then, how do you expect a slave to be paid? We send their slaves. Others send their workers. There must be a difference between the people who send slaves and those who send workers.
All right.
And I like people like Atwoli. They have been saying, let's close our colors. Let's close these agencies, all of them. All let's suspend taking our children to Lebanon, to where the Arab world, the Middle East. We will take them there in future, after we have sorted out the mess. But as the situation currently obtains,
all right,
I think we are being unfair to ourselves.
Are you signaling we should have more Atwolis in all these embassies around now Gulf states who can safeguard the interest of such laborers?
Atwoli is beyond those. What I'm saying is he has raised concern and said, according to him, unless I can't remember, according to Atwoli, it's about time we kind of suspended the whole business first. And I would agree with him. Let's suspend it. Let us not say, oh, these ones are good agents. Oh, this one. No, let us suspend all of them first. Then we ask ourselves, who is this we are sending to Saudi? What benefit do they bring to their parents before they come in the coffin?
True.
What have they brought to their mothers in the village before they come in a coffin? Is it really worth that your daughter should go in the Gulf? You receive a few little pennies from her, then you receive her in a coffin. And so we need to ask those questions.
All right.
Because the moment you strip yourself of dignity as a man, nobody will ever respect you.
Absolutely.
Nobody respects an African. Because Africans have presented themselves as a basket case. nobody will respect you as a Kenyan. Nobody will respect Kenya, including the Kenyan president. Will not be respected if we allow countrymen, our own children, to go and be mistreated in the Gulf states, in the Middle East, then come back in coffins. Nobody will respect you. They will know you are useless. You may put on a nice tie, put on a suit, speak good English. They may even welcome you in their countries because you are a political leader. When you go, they say these are fools.
All right.
Yeah.
There are a section of Kenyan students who are saying perhaps it's our education curriculum that isn't able enough to bring out graduates who have a competitive edge other than the rest. That's why out of the 600,000 number that is in Gulf, majority are domestic workers. We cannot really feed the market with competent people, expatriates. Is it true?
There's a very serious truth in that. Our education has never served us well. We have never departed from the colonial philosophy of education. The colonial masters produced people to serve them Zungu, basically clerks.
I see.
So we are still producing clerks.
All right.
Up to university level.
I see.
And therefore, because a good education should produce people who are thinkers, number one, who ask questions, number two. But more importantly, an education system should produce people who are able to create jobs, to be employers, not to tarmac looking for a job to the point you find a graduate saying, sasa anachoma mahindi kwa sababu ametafuta kazi miaka 5 amekosa na ako na degree. Hiyo degree yake ni bure. You find a graduate saying, I've been doing this motorcycle thing, I'm a boda. Not that there's anything wrong with Nduthi or a boda. But because you will be complaining, why you are featuring on TV as a special case is that I have a degree or two, and yet I'm a boda person.
I see.
That means the education you received is wrong.
All right.
Yeah.
We've seen majority of these youth who go there and come back, they undergo a sort of depression. The Kenya Defence Forces early 2020, if I stand to be corrected, came up with the KDF Wellness Center at the Langata Barracks to cater for the mental health issues of soldiers who are from the theatre of war. Do you suggest that as a country we should also come with such an establishment so that such youths, when they come back, they can hit the ground running after now being carefully assessed their mental state so that they pick up their pieces?
You're comparing two things that should not be compared. Soldiers will go to fight as a matter of necessity. They are on a national assignment, defending our integrity, our territorial integrity, our borders, and so forth, or taking part in peacekeeping in the world, which is important. But what are our boys going to do in Saudi? So that we may prepare trauma centers for them. What are they going to do in Saudi? It's a waste of time. Let's just stop sending our children into slavery. It's as simple as that. It is just as simple as saying no Kenyan shall go to do domestic work in Saudi. Let them do their own jobs.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's where we wrap up our conversation today, talking matters labor industry, labor migration industry, and what needs to be addressed today, if not yesterday. Before we leave, our fan of the week is Peter Munywa in Saudi Arabia.
Talking about Saudi, and we have Peter Munywa. Peter, thank you. Haujambo huko. We are happy that you are with us.
All right. Well, that's where we wrap up our business. Until next time on Business Glide, my name is Richard Mwenja. Be blessed.